สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. The dish that I am making today brings me right back to my childhood. It was one of my favorite things as a kid because it is a stuffed omelette, and I always felt like it was like opening a little present, especially if I got to it first. So, stuffed omelette is called kai yat sai. Kai is egg and yatsai means to stuff, so it's pretty straightforward. So let's take a look at our ingredients. So for the filling, I've got here some ground pork. Now you can use ground chicken, ground shrimp, or you can even do crumbled tofu if you want to make this vegetarian. I've got some tomatoes chopped up, some onions diced, and some long beans for an extra crunchiness. You can get a little creative with the vegetables. You can do carrots or use whatever feels right in your filling. And then for aromatics, I've got the standard trinity of sort of like the Thai mirepoix. We've got garlic, white peppercorns, and cilantro roots. Let's get started with our filling. So we're gonna start by making a paste out of our aromatics. So I've got my garlic, cilantro roots, and white peppercorns. Ooh. I think a pepper jumped into my hair. Every time I make this paste, it just smells so good. And there's something about the combination of garlic and white pepper and cilantro roots. There's nothing like it. It's so unique to Thai cuisine. Oh, if you can't find cilantro roots, cilantro stems would work really well. Just chop it up finely and you don't need to pound it. That's looking pretty good to me. Mostly a paste, no big chunks, no stringy bits. We're good to go. So before we get started, just a little note on the pork. If you buy your ground pork and it comes in this strange, stringy, tubular shape, if I add it to the pan like this, I will get actual odd bits of tubular shaped pork, and I don't like that. It doesn't look natural, so I like to just kind of mash it up a little bit. And if it's a little stiff, I like to add just some of my seasoning, which is soy sauce, just to moisten it. There, just so there's no more geometric shapes going on in your food. Okay, so I've got just my wok here. I'm gonna turn it on medium heat. You don't need super high heat for this, especially with this stove. And just a little bit of oil. Now to this, I'm going to add my herb paste, my garlic, cilantro roots, and white peppercorns. So just cook that until the garlic is really aromatic and the smallest bit starts to turn brown. And it really doesn't take very long because it is kind of a paste. So I am ready. I'm going in with my onions and my tomatoes. Now I want the onions to be sweet and I want the tomatoes to sort of mush and disintegrate and become part of the sauce. I'm not looking for chunks of tomatoes and onions. However, if you like crunchy onions, if you like the flavor of raw onions, you are more than welcome to just add the tomatoes and then move the onions towards the end. So what I'm looking for here is just for the tomatoes to start to break down and for the onions to start turning just a little translucent and getting them really nice and sweet. Now it's time for my pork or whatever protein. And the rest of my seasoning, which I've got some oyster sauce, and to cut all the saltiness, just a little bit of sugar. Okay, now that looks really good. I'm gonna add my long beans now. And I'm saving the long beans until the end because I like the crunchiness that they have, that they give to this dish. I think I'm done. This is a really nice level of moisture. You can sort of the juice of the tomato is kind of dispersed all over. It's not dry, but it's also not pooling with liquid. That's where I want to be. Yes. All right, now is the fun part. It's making the egg, which is the most challenging part of this whole thing. So I've got a 12-inch flat saute pan. I'm gonna turn this on about medium heat. And I'm gonna coat the pan with pretty generous amount of oil. And I like to use just the silicone brush and brush it to make sure it gets evenly coated. Now you've got a really good non-stick pan. You may not need this much oil. Okay, while that's heating, I have 2 eggs here. So for the amount that I'm making, 2 eggs on a 12-inch skillet is perfect. And I'm going to beat this until there are no more white gloopy bits. And I'm gonna season this egg with just a little bit of fish sauce. So this is very much like my Thai omelette episode. Remember my kai jiao or Thai omelette episode? Just a little bit of fish sauce, just to season the egg so the egg's not bland. Alrighty. Yeah, there we go. And now I'm going to swirl the pan. Swirl the pan to make a large, thin omelette. And with a 12-inch skillet, I like to kind of push it up the sides a little bit to get it nice and big. The bigger it is, the easier it is to wrap. And then I just kind of move the pan to make sure that everything is heated evenly. Now there's a fine line between the egg being too thin and the egg being too thick. Most of the time the problem is in the egg being too thick because it's really hard to fold a thick piece of omelette. But if it's too thin, then it tastes kind of rubbery and not very good. Now run the spatula along the edges to sort of release it. Take it off heat if you're taking a bit of time. Okay, good. I do want some golden brown color going on because that's really beautiful. Unlike French omelette where they're looking for yellow and no brown, Thai people like a little bit of browning. Okay, so this is dry. It looks a bit darker, but it's dry. So I'm going to turn off the heat because I do not want this to cook any further. Check that it's loose. Yes, it's loose. It's got nice brown color going on. Now I am going to add my filling. I'm going to put everything except, I'm going to save about a couple tablespoons. You'll see why in a minute. And I am going to fold this way. Careful, it's hot. This way. It's hot. Now, if you are not good with touching hot things, you can transfer the egg onto a plate and do this on the plate. You don't have to do this in the pan like I'm doing here, but oh well. Whew. To take this off, you take your serving plate, you put it on in the center. Whew. And then you just flip quickly. 1, 2, 3. Hup. Ta-da! There's your egg. So you can serve the egg closed like this and then get the, especially if you've got kids around, they might want to be the one to open the package. That's what I wanted to do. But to make it a little more elegant, I like to give people a little sneak preview. So I just take a sharp paring knife and cut across, open. And because we put a plate smack on it to flip it open, it's a little flat. That's why I like to save this extra filling so I can add some volume and dimension to it at the end. So I just open it. I put the rest of my filling in. Gosh, this smells so good. And by the way, there's no chili, no spicy, anything in here. So this is a great dish to introduce your kids to Thai food. Got that. Now we've got some volume and height. Perfect. You can leave it open like this, but I like to close it back. And now you've got a little bit of height. You can see the filling a little bit better. So I've got some red bell pepper here that I thinly julienned in there. Some cilantro sprigs. Wow, and that right there is a showstopper. Look at that. You bring this to the table and people are just gonna ooh and ah, and you are gonna win some brownie points, my friends. Now, serve this always with jasmine rice, but I am going to eat it just like this. Ooh, the egg is nice and tender, and that's another thing. You do not want to overcook the egg because it becomes kind of dry and rubbery. So the oil helps moisten the egg, and just as soon as the egg is dry, that's when you want to turn off your heat. Super tender egg. and the filling's just got the right balance of saltiness and sweetness and a little bit of acidity from the tomatoes. Gosh, every time I eat this, it just brings me right back. I mean, literally, this was the coolest food in my childhood self's opinion. It's just so cool to see things wrapped up in a package. And when sometimes, if my tomato's not very acidic, I like to add just a teaspoon or so of tamarind juice just to brighten it up a little bit. So when you taste your filling, you can make that judgment call as well. So I hope you give this a try. And if you're intimidated by the whole wrapping thing, you don't have to wrap it. Roll it, fold it in half, do whatever you need. My first one didn't look like that, I'll tell you. So when you have given this a try, let me know how it goes, either through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Please send me a photo. I always love seeing your photos. And the recipe is, as always, on hotthaikitchen.com. If you enjoy the show, please click to subscribe so I can keep doing these shows for you. And I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai meal.